All right, we're live and recording. Hello and welcome to, what are we calling this again, Dre? Badass Branding Blab.
Branding Blab, yep.
And Denise has 5,000 props already. That's crazy.
I love it. Michael's a props guy.
So, I don't think that's going to do anything, though, for my visibility.
So we're blabbing about branding, and this is the second time Dre and I have done it, and we hope to do it regularly if we can manage to stay in town more than a week at a time. And we are joined by our dear friend and colleague, Denise Wakeman, who has 8,000. You're going to hit the 10,000 prop mark, and it's just going to be
This is crazy.
Oh,
Michael,
I adore you, Michael.
Dre, get a press release ready.
I know, right? Sponsorship, baby.
So we keep it kind of loose, and we like to just talk branding and all that cool stuff. So really happy that Denise is joining us, because Denise is a visibility expert. I've known Denise many years.
Long time.
And thrilled to have you as our first. This is our first guest, right, Dre?
Whoa!
You're our inaugural guest.
Yeah. And kind of like our first. This is really kind of our first official. The last time we sort of did a run through, and this is the real thing. And Dre and I have been talking about, like, we got to do something online. We got to do some kind of show. We talked about it for like almost a year, because I think we met last October at Creative Live. And now that Blab came along, it was just too easy, and there was no reason not to do it.
Don't you love it?
Really quick, Denise, because I know you've done a ton on Google Hangouts. What's sort of your take on this whole Blab? I mean, I see a lot of the Google Hangout hosts moving to Blab. So real quick, what do you think? What's your take on it?
I love it. It's so much easier than Google Hangouts. And I was a I still like Hangouts, but now I'm using them more for private and with clients and that sort of thing, or paid gigs. But Blab is just so easy. And what I realize is, like, I would have to do training with my guests on Google Hangouts before we would meet, and with some of them. And for this, I just give them the link and they're good. I mean, my first guest on Blab, because I moved my show over to Blab, my first guest is a total non-techie, like afraid of technology, really freaks and everything. And at the end, she said, "Well, that was fun. When are we doing it again?" Believe me, she didn't say that after a hangout.
Yeah, well, it's true. And I feel like, if you weren't really active on the Google Plus platform, it was a lot more of a challenge, even visibility-wise. A lot of people weren't jumping on them because they didn't even really know how to get to them. I feel like you said, Blab is like a link. Like, jump on, open it in any browser. It's really simple. Yeah. I'm not too, tech challenge, but even Google Hangouts, it was like, this is way easier. Even to just maintain comments. I mean, comment tracker was always pissing me off. I could never get that stupid shit to work.
Yeah. Well, and I just think it's so much easier to engage on this platform too. Yeah. And the fact that it's linked with Twitter is brilliant.
Right.
That's brilliant, because not only does that help you promote your show and everybody's participating in that. I mean, all you have to say is, "Hey, tell Little Bird," and everybody does it. And as soon as people do it, you start seeing new people hopping on because they've seen it on Twitter. And I think that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Agreed.
Have either of you guys done this on mobile yet? Have you done it from an iPhone, iPad, etc.?
I'm not an I person, so we'll just start right there. But
do they have an Android app?
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
But I also prefer being on a regular big monitor and, having my tools with me when I'm doing a show, because, anything can happen, and it's just easier for me to function that way. I mean, I've watched them on my phone, but I wouldn't run a show. Because, I do want to have a little tiny bit of professionalism with my show.
This is tiny. Just a smidge.
Like me and Andrea.
I'm like us. We're like,
are you totally professional? I mean, these are more relaxed in a way. And I like that piece of it. But with my show, because I've been doing it for 2 years already, I have a system, and I have a setup and a flow, and I promote the hell out of them. And, so I want it to be the way I want it to be, basically.
Definitely. And are you doing the image for your Blab yet, Denise, with your...
I haven't scheduled a show since that whole image thing came. I had scheduled one already, and then that happened, and so it was, I just decided I'd wait till my next show. So, but yes, I would be doing that.
Sweet, good, because I was about
Denise
to be like,
I guess you can only tap out on your props at 9,999, so that you can't have 10,000.
Oh, I can't have many more.
But that
put us to shame, to shame. Well, let's jump in. All right. So,
hopefully our sound sounds good. So let's talk visibility and branding.
Yeah.
So
Ray, I'll let you talk to Denise, because I know we have her for about 10 minutes or so. Don't want to hold you up. So
we want to let her go, not keep too long. So I met Denise on Google Plus. And we just connected on the platform and started chit-chatting, and then we got on a Google Hangout and we talked about her branding. And like she said, she's been around for years doing her thing, crushing it, but she didn't have a totally polished up brand that was fully expanded and defined. So we started talking about that, and she was so gracious to hire me and let me dive into her brand and help her create image templates and help her get a really polished look for her. And she does so many images with her travel, with all the great stuff she does using her photography. And I kept harping on her big time, like, you gotta get some branded images so people know that that's Denise's travels, like, right away. So we got that done, and that's why I really wanted to have you on today. I want you to talk about, you're already crushing out there, but what did the branding really do to you for the visibility? Like, talk about everything, all the goodness that came from that, just investing that little bit to really get things polished up.
Yeah, well, and I want to say that I attended one of your mini workshops online, and when you talked about, creating images, the templates for the images, I was like, okay, I'm hiring her. And I'm so glad I did. I think that the biggest change was that it sort of cleaned things up, because I'd been in sort of a brand shift for a couple of years, because for a long time my brand was a blog squad. I'm very well known in that space. I've been doing it forever, and I had a brand look then. And then I went off on my own, and things it's kind of jumbly and stuff. And then I finally, a couple of years, kind of figured out this whole adventure piece, because it really integrated who I am in my life outside of work, and it just made sense to put it all together. And it works for me. I love it. People love it. So, but I didn't have really a look for it, other than I was posting lots of pictures from my travels. So, when we worked together, Dre, you came up with the most brilliant, simple piece, of visual, like, to create templates out of my pictures. And, if anybody's seen them, it's like a square with an arrow, and it just points straight to, what I want them to point to, either my blog site, denisewakeman.com, or my Adventures in Visibility program. And, people love it. I get all the time people telling me how much they love it. And the thing that that did for me is that it made it, it coalesced, and it's really identifiable. Like, people just know immediately, oh, that's a Denise image. That's a Denise image. Mm-hmm. And I hear that from people. So, it did its job. And, as a result, then, I had you, help me come up with a font, a style guide, really, my fonts that I then changed on my website, and the colors, came up with 3 colors, and I sometimes add another color in there, depending, and a way to put together the images. I tell you, even, not from a branding, beyond branding, it just made it so much easier. Like, I
wanted you to touch on that, because that was one of the things Denise was like, don't make it harder on me. Like, this cannot add more to my process. And I told her, like, I promise, because here's the problem. I know you did this a lot, Denise. You have great images, right? But then it's like, oh, what font do I use? This seems like it's pretty. It seems like this goes. Exactly. Oh, what border should I use? What decorative element? And that shit takes time. We don't have time to, there's too many things to do to spend an hour on an image, right? It's just.
And that's what I was doing, because it was so fun, I got totally sucked into Canva, and I love Canva, because I'm not a designer in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I would never have thought of what you came up with, Dre. Never in a million years. And yet, when I saw it, it was like, yes, okay, that's perfect. So for me now, I know exactly. It's like today. It's like, oh, it's Travel Tuesday. It's my 1,000th post on Instagram. Wow. So it's got to be like my own picture. It's got to reflect, my adventure thing. So I found one of my pictures from Machu Picchu, and I found a great quote. And it took me probably 5 minutes to put it together, whereas in the past I would probably spend at least 30 minutes.
Absolutely. And I always use yours as an example because it is so simple. And I want people to understand that it doesn't mean that it has to be really complicated and you have to buy expensive graphics or hire an illustrator. It does benefit you to hire a professional to get it dialed in for you. Yeah. But the graphic itself and the branding itself doesn't need to be complicated. Yours is literally a border with an arrow, but nobody else has it, and your shit jumps out on every feed across the internet. And that ultimately is what you want from your branding.
Right. And what I realized, like you created one, in 2 different colors and with both of my URLs. And then I realized, well, I need one that's going to fit on Instagram. I need one that's going to fit on a Pinterest. I need one that's going to fit on a Facebook. I need one that's going to fit, on a Twitter image, because they're all different dimensions, and you can't just stretch them out because that looks funky. It doesn't work. So, yeah, totally.
That shit's no good.
Like that's a bad class.
That's a bad prop.
That's a bad prop. And so it's like, okay, now I need this. Now I need this. Now I need this. But also the other thing is, like, you really helped me with the fonts too, because I just used whatever font was on my website for my website, and I was able to get the fonts free as they were Google fonts, and they had I got it through Skyfont or something like that. So it was really easy to just install them onto my system. And now I use them, on my PowerPoints, which you also did for me. Because then I realized, oh my gosh, I've got all these ugly PowerPoints. Now I need that branded too. So I've been I'm
the poster child for branding ADD, and one of these days Dre's going to straighten me out. But
I know, I keep telling Lou, I'm just give me 5 minutes with your files. 5 minutes.
I get bored. Okay, I want every single PowerPoint I do looks different because I get a new template, which is it's fun, but I'm sure that people are like, you're all over the place, man. So that must be hard. So Denise, was it hard to discipline yourself into that branded? Okay, this is the look.
No, it made it so much easier because, truly, I stopped trying to figure it out, because I know exactly. I mean, I even use those fonts in my Word docs now, wow. And so, on my slides, because it's like, oh, okay, I know which one to use. I use that one for a header. I use that one for content, and that saves me. It saves my brain so much. I can focus on other things and still create something that looks nice and recognizable. So I truly.
Well, that's the thing. I think with a lot of us creatives, we like to change it up and we like to spice things up. But in the end, we all have 9,000 things to do. Oops, I think we lost her. But we have 9,000 things to do, and at the end of the day, it doesn't serve you to make one of those things, recreating the wheel for every visual thing that you do, and that's where branding comes in.
Well, and also,
it gives you back time.
Yeah, for sure that. And the other thing is, I was thinking about, okay, well, how does the branding relate to visibility? And when, I don't know if you're going to ask me this or not, but I'm thinking about it. And the thing there is that you want to be consistent with what you are posting, for example, and your message and your look, because you want people to recognize you. So instead of, throwing out, I was just throwing spaghetti on the wall, oh, look at that, isn't that cute? Isn't that sweet? Isn't that, fun? Isn't that beautiful? But now, people are more apt to notice because they recognize a style. And that's part of visibility too, is having not only consistency in how you are being online, what you're posting and your message, but it's also how you look, because it all creates a package and people notice.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then when you start exploring new platforms, people recognize you from other things. It's creating that seamless experience across the board. So if you do start doing Periscopes, or like you said, you jump to Blab, now everybody who already knows you from Twitter, Google+, Facebook, it's so easy. They may not even know you're on Blab, but the minute they see your shit, Denise, it's all over it. Yeah. And that's what you want. You don't want to work so hard for the visibility on these different platforms. And if you build that foundation, it makes that side of visibility hugely organic and natural and easy to attain.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you noticeable. You stand out from what everybody else is doing. I mean, think about the other people that, we know in our, online space. Dre, yours is very, very recognizable. I always know it's you. Rebecca Radice, always know it's her stuff. She's got a very, fun style. Peg Fitzpatrick, another one who's got a really good, style that you see it. I see an image and I immediately know it's her. So, I mean, and I don't even know what she's talking about, maybe. I mean, it's like I don't know what it is that she's posting, but I know it's from her. And that's a big part of visibility, too.
Yeah, and you have to, and other people have to look at that. When you realize and you reverse engineer why you know people, like everyone you mentioned, yourself, Rebecca, Peg, when you reverse engineer why everybody knows them, a huge part of that is their branding. A huge part of it is that they're consistent in their visuals. And that's how important it is. I mean, you can have great content and all of these amazing things on the content side and on the value side, but you're just not going to stand out as much unless you build that recognition through consistency. And I don't think people give that enough credit, but really look at the successful people. One of the things they have in common, no matter what the niche is, no matter what area they do, no matter what kind of content they produce, is that they have their branding dialed in and they're really consistent about shit.
Yeah. And I think that, it's the message, it's the when I talk about consistency with my clients or students, it's always about like, what do you look like and how consistent are you in getting it out there? So, you will stand out if you do have that consistent, recognizable brand along with, being, very constant about what you're doing.
Anybody have any questions for Denise before she has to jump off? I know you have a client coming up, but just wanted to see if there are any visibility-related questions. So, Denise, you and I both talk about the "I see you everywhere" effect, which is really awesome when people say they see you everywhere. It's like, well, there's not three of me. So, do you think a lot of that has to do with the consistency and the visibility being, how do you manage to get across so many different social platforms?
Well, it's my business to do that. I got to practice what I preach, right? I think that part of it is some automation and also being an active experimenter too. I really embrace the experimentation part, and I encourage others to do so too. Not to be afraid of the new platform or afraid that when something changes, which I hear a lot, and it's like I've been thinking about fear a lot. That's a tangent, but so. The reason people see me all over is, one, I have longevity. I've been doing this since I've been online for almost 20 years. So, that's part of it, but also I embrace it. And, that's a mindset thing that I always used to sort of poo-poo, but it does make a difference, that I say, hey, I'm going to try this, and you figure out what works for you. And if it doesn't work or your audience isn't there, then you focus on something else. But, the other thing is about not recreating the wheel all the time. So you can repurpose content, which I'm going to be talking about on a Blab tomorrow. But I mean, that helps too, is that tweaking your content for the different platforms. So you're not having to create something unique and brand new every single day for every single platform. I mean, that's just crazy, so,
for sure.
and the tools make it so much easier. So, for example, I love Instagram, and on Instagram you can share automatically to Facebook and Twitter. Well, I have a much tinier audience on Instagram than I do on Facebook and Twitter because I've been on those platforms longer. So I don't feel bad, sharing, auto sharing those to, my posts to Facebook and Twitter because more people will see it. And very few people will probably see it more than once just because that's the nature of things. So that's one way I do it too.
Yeah. And I have like mixed feelings about the automation because I do a lot of that, with Buffer app and Edgar. And it's like, look, I know I'm going to be on the road for 3 days. I'm going to line up some tweets and Facebook posts and things like that. And, some people are like, oh, well, we know that's not really you. It's like, it is me. I just did it 2 days ago.
So, right. You're still curating that content.
Yeah, I don't know why there's so much hate for automation.
You have to do it, really.
Yeah, I don't buy into that.
The only time that it may come back and bite you on the butt is, if some big world tragedy happens, like Paris or something, and you're tweeting out about something that's like, completely irrelevant, then you're not going to resonate as much. But aside from that, I don't think it does any harm to, automate and know that you're going to you created the content in the first place. Now you're just curating it and sending it out there.
Exactly.
Well, and let's be honest, who the hell has time? Yeah, and who has time to post all day? Anyone that's getting shit done is using automation because we cannot be everywhere and do everything at the same time. So let's cut the shit. You need automation if you're ready to get her done.
Yeah, and I think that if you are, reading what you're sharing or, at least skimming it or the people, I always skim through before I, share something. I got to make sure that it's going to resonate with my audience, right? So it's not just like this automatic, I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to send it off anyway.
Right.
And maybe people do that, I don't know. But, I think I don't get people I haven't had any backlash in years around that kind of auto posting because I think so many people do. But I think that if it's clear that you're curating it and if you can put a comment or something like on Twitter, for example, why you're sharing it or that you like it or whatever, then that helps with that piece also. But I think it's important to.
Well, and there's also the engagement. For me, my thought is I do a lot of automation to schedule it, but I'm on there thanking everybody. I'm on there still building relationships and engaging with anyone that interacts with any of my posts. So it's not that automation should take you out of the social game. It's that the piece of actually posting is tedious and there are certain times to do it. And we're not always sitting here with our thumb up our ass, with nothing else to do but to do it. But you're still on there engaging. And that's what you do wonderfully. You may schedule, but you're always on there engaging with your peeps and always commenting and thanking and sharing. So that's the piece that's really, really important.
Yeah, I don't just set it and forget it and never look at it again. And you don't. The thing is, you don't have to do it all day either. It can be. For me, I usually do it first thing in the morning. That's when I'm kind of looking to see, what happened overnight, who said something, and that's when I do it. But so.
Awesome.
Anyway,
well, before you go, share your URL and where folks can find you.
Yes, tell people where you can find you.
You can find me at denisewakeman.com. And I'll write that in too. And also my show is adventuresinvisibility.com. And it's about once a month that I do it. So, do it here on Blab.
It's a great show. She has great guests. And it's all about standing out online.
Been my guest.
So. I know. Lou has too, huh? I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think in the really early days.
It's a great show. So everybody catch it. Thank you so much for squeezing us in today, Denise. You are awesome.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, lady.
All right, today we got 5 or so minutes left. We got any questions or comments from the Peanut Gallery? Anybody? We have an open seat if anybody wants to try and jump in.
I know. Does anyone want to do the hot seat again? Ask for a seat, and we will jump into any branding question you have. Otherwise, you do know you're not on the screen, right? I'm the only dancing monkey on Blue.
Really?
Yeah. You and Denise have been off for like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. That's weird. I see myself. I'll refresh and see what happens. But as long as you can still hear us and see us, and I think we can. So.
Oh, well, they say they can see you. So maybe it's just me.
I think that's George and Lee. Yep.
It says audio only, so maybe it's just on my side.
That's what. It could be a bandwidth thing too. Sometimes they'll shut off your video if you're using too much bandwidth.
That's true.
Denise,
I did do a restart.
So, again, we get a few minutes if anybody wants to talk branding ADD. And again, I'm the poster child for, which is ironic because in my, TV career, I did marketing and branding, and I know what to do and I get it. I just don't do it for myself as much as I should.
Well, that's what I hear so many of you guys that have been doing this so long. It's like you've been doing it so long and you're so busy helping your customers that, yours always falls off. I mean, I do the same thing with so many stuff. You're so busy with clients. It's like, there's never a time to do it. And that's a great problem to have, that you're too damn busy to do it. But I'm going to keep slapping your hand until you get consistent. Right. You know that. I'm happy to keep your ass. So someday it will happen.
Well, I mean, that's the problem. It's like, things like Canva come along, which we've talked about before, which I love, but it also opens the door to, it's kind of the Pandora's box of like, oh my God, look at this. I can throw this in. I can throw that in. I can use Paint now. So it's the tools are great, but if you don't know how to use them, then you're just kind of messing yourself up. And until you have that consistent brand across all your platforms, people are just going to be completely confused and say, what the hell is he doing now? So
absolutely, I agree. It's enough rope to hang yourself.
A list of questions here. Yep. So Dre, I wanted to ask you this one too. How would you? We talked a little bit with Denise about branding and visibility. If somebody says, I don't know if I need help with my brand or my visibility, how would you distinguish between the two?
How would I distinguish between branding and visibility?
Yeah. Or is it really all part of the same thing?
Yeah. I mean, one can happen without the other, right? I mean, you can have a brand done and nobody can find you, and you can be like Denise and have a thriving business and not really have the whole branding side done. What it is it's the power of the combination, right? So it's like the most important thing is having that style guide done. And like I said earlier, what that does is that it allows you to cross these platforms and gain greater traction quicker because people can recognize you. I mean, none of us are on one platform, right? I know I always preach that too, like stick with one, especially at the beginning. It's not necessarily that I don't have active platforms on the other one. So what happens is like, you say you built a really good following and you really honed in and you spent your time on Twitter and you got that dialed in, and now it's like, okay, I want to go to another platform. Maybe I want to go to Pinterest. The thing is though, when you get on Pinterest, if people are on Twitter, a large portion are going to be on Pinterest. You don't need to start from scratch and build these people. They're now going to see your stuff in the feed, recognize it right away because they've already established that consistency and that recognition, and then bam, you're already there. And you see that a lot. I mean, you started on YouTube, but now you're on everywhere, and people see Lou, and it's like, okay, this is Lou. You don't have to start from scratch. And especially this day and age with visuals, like you said, with Canva, with the way that every social network lets you post a visual. I mean, even Twitter now, right? Twitter was all about 160 characters. Now, I roll by text. Like if you don't have an image in Twitter, I'm like, I can't read it. It's too much bullshit. I need image. I need to devour things through visuals. It's not for words for me. So it's just a waste. And it really doesn't take that much time. It takes some time to get to the clarity point, definitely. But like Denise said, we put her stuff together really quickly. We really did. It was a couple weeks. And like she said, like after we did a little bit, then she wanted me to do pretty much all the platforms for her because she recognized and realized what, the ease was doing for her time to create things and and how everything was just so seamless. You just can't, there's so many rewards to reap from that. It's unfriggin' real. So, they really go hand in hand. Visibility these days is about visually catching somebody's eye. And if you can't do that in a way that they recognize you, you're missing out.
So I would say that basically Visibility is being seen and being found, and branding is being seen and found professionally and consistently. How's that for a little?
I like that. See, you're better with your words.
Oh, let's see if Bruce will let Bruce pop in here if we can get him on for a moment because he's calling in.
Good.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I've been following Lou for years. I think this.
What's up, Bruce?
Thank you,
Andrea. This is the first time I actually talked to Lou. So, either way, so you talked about Canva and platforms like that. What are the dangers of creating your brand?
You're cutting out a little bit, Bruce.
I got him.
What are your dangers of creating a brand?
Are you there?
I'm still here.
Yep. I'll repeat it for you, Dre.
So what are the dangers of creating your brand around a like a clip art or something like that?
Okay. So Dre, he's asking, what are the dangers of using Canva to kind of build your brand around clip art? Yep. Can you hear me? Well, if Dre can't hear you, so I'll answer that for you, and then if she can hear us, we'll continue. But the thing about Canva now is if you have like Canva Professional, you can actually kind of set up a brand and pick some fonts and pick some colors so that Canva will kind of force you into that brand. So I think that if you look at Canva and you stay consistent that way, then there's less of a danger of, just like looking too frivolous or silly. Does that make sense, Bruce?
We've been around for about 30 years, but I think in the very, very beginning, I think we pulled a piece of clip art as our logo. And because we're in the video production business, I think it was a clip art of a camera, like a VHS camera even. And so, but over time we've evolved. I think people starting out now have a tendency of like just pulling something off the web and saying, this is who I am, without really thinking it through.
Yeah. Yep. Again, that's why, like, at the very early stages of your business, it's, a good idea to get, a logo, get something that is uniquely yours, and get something that you can really kind of plant the flag for and say, well, this is going to be our image or our brand. And that's why, if you do something like clip art or something off of Google, 100 other people could have that too. Whereas if you get it, even if you just go to like 99 Designs or something and get a $99 logo, that's better than just trying to pull something offline somewhere.
Right.
Dre, can you hear us, or do you want to comment? I don't think Dre can hear us.
I see you're still moving, but that was it.
All right, Bruce, thank you. It's good to see you. Thanks. All right, Dre. Well, we're at the top of the hour anywho, so I think we're gonna sign off for this week, and I'm going to send the...
You're so cutting out. I wanted to shut up because I cannot hear either thing that you guys are saying.
Oh, well, we're going to wrap it up for now.
Can you hear
let me just put in a note. I can hear you. I'm going to type, I can hear Dre. So, yeah,
you sound like a very, very scary robot on my side. So I can hear some of the words you're saying, but it probably is time to wrap up. So I'm going to go ahead and say where they can find me, and then you, and then you say where they. So if you want more branding advice or want to dive into some more visual strategies, you can find my Branding for Solopreneurs ebook and jump on my list, where I am always gifting tons of visual strategies and visual things like templates and that sort of stuff. So you can go to thebrandedsolopreneur.com/badass. And you can sign up for that list, and I will send you my free Branding for Solopreneurs ebook. So that's where you can find me, and we'll be back next week. But Lou, tell them where you can find you and your goodies.
Thanks. Just go to loubortone.com. If you want a video survival kit, go to loubortone.com/kit, KIT. And that's it for this week. We will hopefully see you next time, Dre. And thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Denise. And congrats on getting 3,000 plus props. And that's it. We'll see you soon. We'll put the recording on YouTube, etc. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Dre.
Sounds good. Bye, guys. Till next week.